Hey all, this is ArtsyWisdom. Hi, my name's Diane. I haven't been on here for a couple days and I wanted to say hi. I missed you all and we have so much that's going on. Last time I was here, I was a little angry. I have Mars in Libra, so my anger is more diplomatic in a way. I want to be more diplomatic. Anyway, calmed down since then. Not that things are that much better, but I've calmed down. I wanted to suggest some ideas for us to get through this next month because March is going to be a very volatile month. There's a lot of shifts in the stars, in our universe, and the galaxy, and they are changing the energies, and they're big shifts. And I've told you before, we're going through shifts on Earth, and it's all related to the energy all around us. And, we're all part of the same carbon that makes up planets and animals and trees and stuff. We're part of that same, so we feel that energy as things are shifting around and orbiting around the sun or even the universe. So I was going to suggest and share something about that astrology with the U.S. chart, United States chart from 1776. Also share with you some of the visions that I had about the different information I got channeled from my owl spirit, and also wanted to share about a couple of videos I saw that Mary Trump put out, his niece, F47, Donnie. She talked about his childhood and when Zelensky was in the Oval Office and what triggered him about feelings, and Trump went after him and said, "Don't you tell us what we can feel. She explained that about his childhood trauma, and it was very interesting. It's her last video. If you guys have a chance, go listen to that because it really explains a lot about his childhood and the sociopathic father he had and the lack of any empathy or any emotional support as a child, a little bitty child. Not that I'm making excuses. She said that child, you feel bad for them, but not Don. So it was very interesting, and all the childhood, it explains a lot. And I've always known he's a, family of an alcoholic, and those children, as I am one, you learn behaviors and survivor skills just to get through life, and that's what he did. Way different than I did, but you can also heal yourself if you have awareness and some self-insight, but it seems to be that whatever he's doing works for him or has worked for him, so he doesn't want to change. And because he's like 78 years old or 79, I don't think he's going to change. Anyway, so if you see that, and also Ryan Macbeth, he's an ex-military IT tech engineer guy, really interesting. He goes from the angle of the military, talks a lot about international issues. Doesn't really get into politics that much, but he did have a video. It's called "Are We the Baddies?" In reference to a UK TV show or a show in the UK, and it talked about that office visit with Zelensky and how he was treated. Just saying. So look at that, Ryan Macbeth. Anywho, there we go. All right, let's get started. First, thank you for all my new subscribers that have come here. I also love my old ones too. You guys, thank you for coming along the way with me and on this journey. I'll be having my 2-year anniversary here next month, which I can't believe that. And I'm almost close to 7,000 subscribers, and I'm amazed that I've gotten this far. And it's all to you guys, all thanks to you. So I appreciate it. And I hope I bring something of value and continue to like, subscribe, and all that. Comment. I love those things. All right. So let's get into this. There's a big shift. Okay. So let me just preface this with, as things shift, planets, move into different signs and constellations, it doesn't happen like, okay, this day it's here and the next it's there. It does literally, the degrees move to that point, but the energy you begin to feel the shift way before it happens. It's like a wave kind of thing. You can see coming and it hits you, but you prepare for it. You can feel it pulling before it hits you. So that's the kind of energy. Pluto moved into Aquarius after back and forth from Capricorn to Aquarius. Now it's permanently into Aquarius. And Neptune is going to move from Pisces into Aries. And it hasn't been there for 160 years. So the last time it was 1861. And many of you know that right after that, the Civil War began here in the U.S. So I was looking at the chart. I compared charts between then and now because I was wondering about that. So I did that, and I'll share that with you. Also, Saturn is going to be on that point when that shift happens. Saturn is about responsibility and difficult times that teach you lessons if you're not already in that headspace. Saturn in your chart, when it comes around to your ascendant or your sun, sometimes things happen and they're difficult. And sometimes if you're prepared, it's fine. But sometimes it could be a lot of different things, physical, family, work, whatever it is. And you have to learn lessons on how you deal with that or what you need to move forward with. Saturn is the great teacher. That's his builder of lessons and reminding you that you're just a lowly human. So there's that. So Saturn is going to be hitting that point exactly when Neptune goes approximately into that Aries. Neptune in Pisces is its happy place. It's been in this kind of dreamy, we can come up with, imagine all these great ideas. Pisces is the sign of artists, of musicians, writers, religion, anybody that can take imagination and create something with it. Now, on the flip side of that, the lesser vibrating or lower vibration of Neptune is when you get delusional or you imagine things and it takes you to a dark place. It also can be about drugs and alcohol addiction of all kinds, getting lost kind of thing. It's very, murky and cloudy, it feels like. So to use it on the highest level, is to harness that creativity and the inspiration. Well, Neptune is that planet and it's been moving for that sign. It's Pisces is what rules. Neptune rules Pisces. So they've been little kissing cousins hanging out together. And now Neptune's going to move into Aries. And Aries is the sign of Mars, which is war, fighting. It's not necessarily always war, but it's about aggressiveness, assertiveness, leadership. It's the planet that's strong in firemen, policemen, anybody in the military usually. Not anybody, obviously, but it's about being assertive. And it's where you take chances, where you push forward. So it's moving into that sign of Aries. The sign is a ram, and he's always at the top of the mountain. You can imagine a ram. That's what, up there, first one to get to the top. So Neptune is going to be moving into that sign for a long time, and it's bringing with it the residue of Pisces, somewhat, and Pisces, that dreamy, illusionary, possibly creative, imagined stuff, high-end, artistic, creative things that we haven't seen before, into this action-orientated sign of Aries. So I'm going to intuit some of my intuition I'm sharing with you on top of what I think, in general terms, classic terms, of what the signs mean. And I think we've already been seeing a shift into that energy of action, taking charge of things, and that's been in the Trump White House. People have been wanting that energy. They sort of believed all the lies, and they're saying yes, and now it's taking action, and it's really literally doing what the energy feels like. So that's going to continue. Now, as time passes, the Neptune will move forth through Aries, and it might how can I say this? It might not be clear. If you have a planet in Aries that's friendly, like Mars, it's straightforward. I want to jump on that hill and fight that guy or whatever it is. But Neptune in Aries is more, how do I take this mushy stuff and direct it into something real and tangible that means something, because they're the first sign. Aries is the first one. So that's kind of where the energy is. We're figuring it out. It's like taking clay or some sort of soft thing and you're putting it into a manageable direction, putting it into an arrow or something that means something, inspired by something. And that's the mood, and that's going to be for many, many years now. So we've been living in this dreamy state, and we're going into the Age of Aquarius. Now, also, that Saturn is on that Neptune, which is forcing the energy to be more, it's the lesson, right? The lesson creator, the great teacher. We've got to make sure this Neptune, it's on there going, okay, you've got to do a good job. And I think the Saturn is us, the courts, the people who are pushing back on these very fast, very radical, very slash and burn kind of choices or decisions that the Trump administration is doing. Saturn is, okay, you want to do that? Here's your lessons. You guys are going to have trouble. That's the vibe I'm getting, is we are the trouble. We're the good trouble. And the courts are as well. And I'm sorry, I'm using my hands. I'm part Italian people and I can't stop it. So I'm going to talk about the full moon. So with this also happening this month, the full moon will be in Virgo, which is normally just fine. Full moon is when it's opposite of the sun. So the sun is in Pisces, and the full moon will be a later Virgo on March 13th. Well, we have the possible shutdown on March 14th, unless they agree to a budget. They can fund the government. When I did some meditation on that, I saw a lot of shrinking. I saw them really making things small, like the budget. And I don't think it's a shutdown. It will be. There's definitely going to be a partial shutdown or a shutdown of some kind. I don't think they're going to agree on anything that moment. Maybe. But I see it small. I think they're just going to really radically reduce. So they think that's going to happen. And that's part of this take no prisoners kind of mood. And it's called a worm moon on the 23 degrees of Virgo on the 13th. And it's, I say, oh yes, and less money. I have my very scribbly notes here. So these changes may feel like they're just like impossibly, like why is this happening? It's because we've been in a collective karma from the capitalism and the money, but we've been in a collective dream state, and we are having a hard time solidifying our direction. This Saturn-Neptune conjunction in the 0 degrees of Aries is in the United States 10th house of reputation. Literally, it's your career, and your personal life, how people see you. So it's how people see the U.S. So our reputation is changing. And there's a lot of restrictions. Saturn is teaching everybody who we are now. They're changing their mind. And all of this illusion is reminding everybody that we can't be trusted. They don't know what's going to happen. And it's sad, but that's the image that we're projecting right now, right? And people are, and that's why Europe is having to band together behind Ukraine and all that, because they can't trust us. And I wouldn't, because we got cuckoo bananas buffoon, orange buffoon in the White House. So as this happens this month, the energy is just a big change. And it feels very in flux. My gut tells me it's feeling very like volatile. And the positive thing that I'm feeling is out of this mayhem, there will be nuggets of positive things. I don't know what those are, but my gut tells me there'll be small benefits to mankind or humanity or just the way we live our lives, because people will have to get creative, because adversity breeds creativity, right? So humans are super amazing. We can come up with all kinds of ideas to adapt, right? So that's the feeling I get. Some of that's going to happen ultimately. But in between now and then, it's messy and difficult and scary. This month especially. So the way you can use this energy is, it's going to be in flux. There's going to be a lot of volatility. So don't fight it. This noise is going to happen. So maybe, like I said in the past, not just prepare yourself, have money on hand and food in the pantry, but also how can you use some of this energy for something positive in your life? Maybe you want to be more creative and take action in a really unusual way. Start something and channel that energy. Maybe it's some art or drawing or writing or, I don't know, doing some building outside where you create a patio deck and put a barbecue in there. Or maybe all of a sudden I was thinking about a car, because Aries, something where you're moving quickly to take that anxiety, that energy, that creative, and kind of go with the flow kind of thing, instead of resisting. Resistance makes a person hurt. In hypnotherapy is really good when you have surgery prior to, because you train your mind to not tense up as you're having surgery or before and after. You start the process of mentally calming yourself down and allowing your body to heal and go with the energy and trust the doctors, and you'll heal quicker, because when you resist, we're fighting. We are going to resist the actions of the powers that be, who are making actions or deciding on or voting on things that are ridiculous and that aren't for the greater good, but to fill wealthy people's pockets. But within your own life, when you're going to the store, or when you're, with your family, your children, think about how you can channel that energy, that wishy-washy, I need to do something, and what that looks like, and just play and just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, because that's the energy it feels like. It feels like I need to throw, which they literally are throwing everything at the wall, and there will be nuggets of wonderful things where you're like, oh, I never thought that could happen, or dreamed that could happen. Or maybe it's reaching out to somebody that had always, you remember, but you want to reach out to them and say, hey, just saying, just anything that would feel good in your life to harness this unknown energy that needs to go somewhere. Some creative energy that needs to go somewhere. I guess you could get lost in a book too. That would be nice too. I just thought of that. But I wanted to tell you guys too about 1861, the last time Neptune was in Aries, when it did the same placement in the world or in the constellations. It was in 1861, but it's not like that now. Our chart is, the U.S. chart is, our chart is about thoughts. The mood of this birth chart for our country is ideas and thoughts. The ascendant's a Gemini, which is an air sign. The midheaven is Aquarius, also an air sign. And Uranus, which rules Aquarius, is in the 12th house. But that's also kind of creatively using your intellect And that's what we're doing. We're very idea orientated. That's what I'm getting from our USA birth chart. And to compete with that, we have Mars on our ascendant, which means we come off aggressive, we fight, we like guns, we like to, have our freedom with the don't tell us what to do kind of vibe. That's the other part of this. And then the Mars is take action. I'm going to fight and I need to fight. That energy, we were just, it came in when we were born, and that was in our chart. Now, the difference between 1861 is we had Pluto moving towards the midheaven, like I said before. That's how our reputation is, how other countries see us, how the world sees us. And Pluto is the planet of transformation. And so there was a lot of energy and a push to convert, transform, and get some of that dark gook up. And that was during the Civil War time prior. So people wanted to change back to where I guess they imagined it would be and have slaves again, I guess, because that's also so fun. And so that was Pluto in the midheaven. That's not happening now. Pluto is in the 8th house of areas of deep psychological changes. So we're going through a big shift, but it's not necessarily viewed by the world yet. No, that's not true. The parts that are changing aren't viewed by the world. They can see what's happening for us because we've got all that Neptune stuff going through our 12th house. So the world is seeing us go through these shifts, and it's very confusing, and I don't blame them. But the other thing, so that was happening then. That's not happening now, that Pluto in the midheaven. So that's good. And Mars and Uranus, which is these two planets together, create a dynamic effect of things blowing up and things fighting and resistance to being held back. And I need my freedom. So you just literally like breaking out. Those two things were on our ascendant, which is how we feel about ourselves, how we determined we want to appear in the world. And it was trine Jupiter. So that was excessive. It was amped up to the nth degree. So there was a lot more anger and a lot more animation in that chart. I'm not saying things can't happen now, but this is playing out more on a global stage than it is here. It's just playing out in a different way. The energy is moving through us in our own way, the American citizens and our government and everything, which is also represented by Saturn. But we are changing deeply emotionally in this country, going through a big transformation, deciding who we are, what we need, what our emotional needs are. So that's going through a big shift right now. But just remember, like we all have our birth chart, the U.S. was built on ideas and thought. That's still the case. We still have the same birth chart. That hasn't changed. What changes is the energies that are moving through the universe and how we use that power or that skill or that wisdom or intellect. So I believe that we are going to get there. We're going to use our amazing adaptability and techno stuff to figure out how to solve our problems. And we also have the sun in Cancer, which is a very home-loving sign. You want to feel secure. So that hasn't changed either. So all of those things are still out there. They're just being manipulated by different powers. Anyway, that was a long-ass way to go. I also wanted to mention, I forgot, BlackRock and got a subsidiary group, got control of this company's going to control both ends of the Panama Canal, a U.S. controlled company. So there you go. So that's happening. And BlackRock, they're very scary people. I think that's Betsy DeVos's Prince, whatever his last name. I think that's his name. Prince, he's in that group. That's more oligarchy there. And okay, so after March, I started to ask, okay, what's going to happen with this vision? What's going to happen with Felon 47 if he is going to continue on this trajectory of tariffs and destroying everything in the economy? And saw him in a bowl of soup kind of thing, but there's a hole on this side, like a channel, and there's people, like he's in here, he's in this bowl of soup going, ah, but he's not mad, he's happy, he's talking. And these people are dumping, they're like throwing things, like filling this bowl, and they're trying to drown him. I don't know. I felt like I could see JD Vance there, and I could see like Stephen Miller, people like that in his administration. It's like they're trying to control him and they can't. There's something like that happening. I also saw, in last year, I saw this image too, where he was talking and he was kind of like a drill bit, and he was going into the ground and he was spinning and talking, and all of these MAGA people were trying to grab him and get him out of that hole he was digging for himself. And he wouldn't grab their hands. He felt like they were beneath him. So now I'm seeing that as more, I don't need you. But he does, because he's digging himself a hole, literally, or he's in the soup and he's drowning. But they want to drown him. I know that seems weird, but they want him to shut up. And I also saw them piling, all of a sudden I saw him as an orange ball, and they were trying to cover him and cover him with all kinds of stuff and make him go away. So he's been used for what he needed, and now they're trying. I think that's going to happen. I think they are taking what they have from him and moving him on, because he's getting a little too volatile. Even though JD Vance in the Oval Office, that was an ambush, by the way. That Zelensky thing was a total ambush. They had planned that, and but there's something about him that they're aware of, that they're trying to clamp down. And his cake, his broken cake, I do see it getting worse and more melty. And I keep seeing it before it's about the same, but now I feel like the bottom of it's getting melty and it's going into the ground. I asked about lies, and the fight against lies, and how, if there's going to be a future where everybody agrees on facts, because facts are facts. And if we don't have that, it's just a matter of time. It'll be, I can just go and take what I want, because laws don't matter. The words don't matter. This law doesn't matter. It's not the same. I'm reading words, but they don't. I read them like this is wrong, and you can read them and say this is right. So we need to agree on facts. And so I was looking into how that's going to go in the future. And I did see like a hub, like spokes that went out. And these are the different angles, or the different people that believe different things. So say the left is all the way over here and they believe all these things, and the right is all the way over here and they believe all these things. And there's different groups that living in their bubbles, and they believe they're different things. And I don't feel like they're overlapping, because I saw them as spokes, and they're in their corners. These changes are happening so quickly, obviously, in the universe, and people know it and feel it, and changes need a scapegoat or blame, because people have a hard time just saying, oh, it's changing, I need to adjust, I will do this instead of that thing I did for 30 or 50 or 100 years. No, that doesn't work like that, especially things that worked pretty good. We don't want to lose them. So people need to blame or scapegoat, and that's what's happening now. So they're still in their bubbles, but in the future, I felt like I saw the tech world coming up with a way to, I know it's just fact checking. Of course, we can do that now, and people still don't believe it. But there's a way that they're going to create it's not an app, something digital, that it will prove to people when there's lies or not lies, or actually list the facts or something. Because opinions are opinions, and those aren't facts, those are opinions. So that'll be separate, but there'll be another way that we can, there's newspapers, but everybody reads different things and listens to different things, but there is going to be something. I don't know what that is. Now, and I imagine the rural folks out there, they're not doing that. I all of a sudden I was put in the mind of radio stations that used to play Rush Limbaugh, and he was the super right back then. He was the start of a lot of it. And that's kind of vibe. They're out there, they're still listening to that, but I don't feel like it's dangerous. I feel like it's just the way they want to think. That's kind of thing. So that'll be in the future, and it feels manageable. It's not great, but it's manageable. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think that was it. Now, I wanted to share with you how I don't know what this is about. I feel like something in the not too distant future, something about orcas and whales. I don't know if it's with the oceans, something's happening, but I saw orcas. So that was a little hit I got. I don't know. I don't hope they're not going to be washed ashore somewhere or something, but it's kind of a big deal. I saw that. Now, I wanted to share with you in my owl spirit. I've shown these videos, shown these videos. I've talked about this owl spirit that comes to me, and I'm in the water by the shoreline of this beachy kind of area, and the sun is rising over there, and there's a lot of hurdles and dark muck that we have to get to before we get to the sunrise. And my owl spirit can fly over all the muck and get there, but we can't because we're on the earth plane. So I touched base with that and wanted to see, checked in with him or her. And he's smiling at me. Like I said before, owls don't seem like they can smile, but he was smiling at me. And I saw, which was really cool, is beyond the sunrise, around the corner of this, it's kind of a mountainous, darkish mountain that I've always seen, covered with tropical trees. It's kind of in the dark because it's on this side with the shadow, and the sun is rising on the other side, and it's kind of backlit. But this darkness, which is not just water, it's thick mud that we have to get through, and then there's those hurdles, black lines. But the feeling I get when he speeds above that or flies above that is so much freedom, and just feel like we're stuck here. That's the feeling I get. It's like, why can't we just go up there and get to the other side? But what's awesome is I saw around the mountain in the distance, it was like, in The Wizard of Oz, when you see the Emerald City, that's what I saw around the corner, but distant like that. And was green, like pale green. And I saw that and I thought, and it glistened, it was sparkly, and it was like bright and light, and it felt really good. So I think that's a good sign. I think that is a definite possibility. But it's going to be a while, and we're in the black goo right now. But as you go through this March and all these things flux, flux. Just expect changes. Expect them. That's what's going to happen. So expect changes. Continue to expect changes. And prepare for them, knowing and not fearful. Because when we're resistant to things, or we don't know something's going to happen, it's shocking, and then we seize up. So changes are going to happen. Some good, some bad. Some will trigger you in some ways. Some will just be like, okay, that's happening over there. It's not really affecting me. But take this energy and channel it, because change is going to be, we're going through this big shift. Use it wisely. Maybe you want to create something in your life that will make your life easier. Maybe you want to clean out something. Maybe you need a closet it's been over, you've been thinking about it for years, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do it now. And when you get in there, you'll go through some memories or something, and you'll relieve yourself. I mean, there's a lot of different options that would work for you. So just think about it, but just prepare yourself for change. That's it. You can count on your certain things a little. I mean, people are still living life, right? We're all still going to the store. We're still sleeping. We're getting up. We're eating. We're visiting with family or friends. That's still happening. You're still here, hopefully. Well, I guess you would be here if you're listening to me. And the people who, like the MAGA people who really need to have a change of heart, all of these changes may not have reached them yet. Some of them, yes, but not in a great degree. When they do, then the change will be from another place. The change from the population, the voters, that there's going to be a lot of anger at that point, but it's going to take a while. They're just not going to feel it for a while because that's what I've said is I wish it went faster, but it's like a delay, we won't know until the full thing, the full fallout happens. But the courts are going to be in our backstop. The courts are there. And I know Supreme Court said they can, I don't know, it was a 5-4 decision against the EPA in San Francisco for drilling or offshore stuff. No, that sucks. So there's that stuff. But people are going to be pushed back. There's hundreds of millions of people like us. Remember that. We're not alone. So focus on what you can do, not the crazy stuff that is out of your hands. Okay? All good. We're going to get through this. Thank you again for coming by. I love your questions, and I always read your comments. Some of them I may not respond to, but I always read them. So thank you. So keep doing that. Take care.